A federal high court sitting in Abuja has ordered former President Olusegun Obasanjo, late Umaru Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, and Muhammadu Buhari to give accounts of how they spent $5 billion Abacha loot. The court ordered the government of President Bola Tinubu to disclose the exact amount of money stolen by General Sani Abacha from Nigeria and the total amount of the Abacha loot recovered and all agreements signed on same by the government of former Presidents Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Jonathan, and Buhari. Justice James Kolawole Omotosho delivered the judgment following a Freedom of Information suit brought by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP. The judge also ordered the federal government through the Ministry of Finance to furnish SERAP with the full spending details of about $5 billion Abacha loot within 7 days of this judgment. Justice Omotosho ordered the government to disclose details of the projects executed with the Abacha loot, locations of any such projects, and the names of companies and contractors that carried or are carrying out the project since the return of democracy in 1999 till date. Meanwhile, lawyer Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, welcomed the judgment by Justice J.K. Omotosho of the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, ordering the release of the details of spending of about $5 billion Abacha loot by the government of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, late Umar Musa Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, and President Muhammadu Buhari. In a statement, Falana says the judgment could not have come at a more opportune time than now because of the economic hardship to which the poor people of Nigeria have been subjected by a reckless ruling class. The question of public accountability is now on the front burner. According to him, having regards to the involvement of the World Bank in the mismanagement of the Nigerian economy, the order of the court directing disclosure of the details of specific roles played by the bank and other partners in the execution of any project funded with Abacha loot since 1999 is very commendable. Okay, let's have a rise analyst, lawyer, human rights lawyer, Frank Tietie is joining us now to dissect this court judgment. Very warm welcome, Frank. This is your turf, the issue of corruption, poor leadership and the rest, and even mentioning the World Bank, by senior advocate Femi Falana in the management of the $5 billion Abacha loot, does not sound really good.
Well, this is interesting, and a very warm congratulations to Sarah after a very long time. Nigerians were getting weary and embarrassed different times when Sarah writes to United Nations over Magu, over not obeying court orders. But you can see now that Sarah is getting this kind of wonderful reprieve from a national court. So Sarah should stop, bombarding the United Nations with requests that it will never grant and that are practically useless. Now, this dimension which Femi Falana SAN is giving makes it very interesting that the UN and some of its agencies are actually,
gloves in hands,
they collude sometimes with their sometimes inaction and then looking the other way when certain things happen. Much of the money stolen from Nigeria is actually hidden in the United Kingdom, for example, and you don't see much of that happening. Now, this judgment, I must commend Seraph greatly because it's going to open a floodgate of, freedom of information requests to government agencies. Because before now, just like listening to Eze Onyekwere one time, who described the attitude of the government as being is something that's inexplicable, that simply requesting for information from government information about money it received and how it spent it. Government will be prepared to hire some of the best of lawyers in the land and pay them serious millions of naira so that they will not provide the information. What sort of thing is that? So it's scandalous that Serap will have to go to that extent of having to obtain a court judgment to compel a Nigerian government to simply provide an information. Please, we need to look at the background. The background is this. In 2016, our then President Muhammadu Buhari was in the United Kingdom. And but before then, the British Prime Minister David Cameron was addressing the Queen and described Nigeria as a fantastically corrupt country, and as preceding the anti-corruption conference to be held in the United Kingdom at that time. And again, but Justice Welby was quick to inform the Queen that this president at that time, in quote, is not corrupt. I'm talking about President Muhammadu Buhari. But Serap can attest to the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari's administration gave it the greatest frustration when it comes to obedience to court orders, or responding to freedom of information requests concerning their monies, particularly the Abacha loot. Let me tell you, the culture of running government in our country is that of extreme secrecy. So you think that the secrecy, which is meant to be something that is operated to protect Nigeria from its enemies, but it has been turned around so that all operations of government are shrouded in one kind of mystical secrecy, and it's about trying to so that opacity and darkness regarding the finances of government are simply a means of trying to get money by government officials for themselves. So what this judgment has done is to let now, and the good thing is that we have a new sheriff in town, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and let's see what he's going to do. Is he going to now allow the Ministry of Justice now to proceed on an appeal against a simple request? Tell us the monies you received. Now, on the face of it, $5 billion. Tell us how you spent it. In fact, government is a continuum. You don't need to hold Obasanjo and the estate of late President Yar'Adua or President Goodluck Jonathan. You don't need to hold them directly responsible. Simply provide the papers. And then you can tell whether the secrecy, the hidden truth that they have been putting under the cupboard will reveal whether some person stole money. Plain saying, is that plain and simple?
Frank, the Justice Omotosho, gave very copious orders in that judgment. They want to know, the requests that Serap has made, contractors who have handled what projects, the ongoing projects, and another great concern, like I mentioned, is the role of the World Bank in the utilization of this money, because at one time we were having the poor register or whatever it's called, where they distribute 2,000 naira, 5,000 naira from $5 billion.
The idea is the way government is run, but when officials of government want to steal money, is to actually not only hide information, but to actually create a way that you cannot even trace information. You trace the way funds are expended. Now, when I referred to the 2016 anti-corruption conference in London, after that, Nigeria signed to the Open Government Partnership, which creates an obligation for the Nigerian government to, at all times, operate an open government approach. That is, citizens are able at every time to demand that give us information about this or that. The brilliant and beautiful thing about this judgment is that provision in section 6 of the Constitution, which says certain things cannot be inquired to, has actually been reinterpreted. Meaning that because the judge, or Omotosho, was saying that if you apply section 1 of the Freedom of Information Act, means that any person, including Serap, which is a juristic person by our laws of incorporation, can actually demand for any information. And even when you say the information is that of some form of national security, you will still provide it. Just simply say, and if you don't want to provide it, give a reason why you don't want to provide it, and then tell the applicant that, okay, you can go to this place or you can take this procedure. But what he's saying is this: In this case, the Ministry of Finance, the Federal Ministry of Finance, did not even, afford a reason why they did not provide that simple information requested by SERAP. Rather, it started rigmaroling and turning SERAP around. Go to this place, and the usual thing they do, because you need to go to try and work with our kind of civil service. They will tell you all sort of things. They'll say, no, it appears to be one ministry. Oh, it's the Ministry of Justice. No, it is one agency. Oh, come back tomorrow, go back like this. They will throw you, they will so throw you around. Now, imagine the number of years it has taken for SERAP to obtain this judgment. Now, let us now, if you now imagine that Nigeria will sign up to an obligation to make information accessible to its citizens, and at the same time, officials of government will do everything possible, take extra budgeted funds to now go and fund the litigation to give reasons why they will not give a simple information. Corruption at its highest level.
Shouldn't this information pervade the Auditor General's office too? Because it will be key in this matter.
You see, the good thing about it is that if you look at the very beautiful law, the Freedom of Information Act, it says any institution, any public institution, for that matter, whether it's the National Assembly, whether it's the Inspector General, the Office of the Inspector General of Police, whether it's the Nigerian Army or the Office of the the Chief of Defense Staff, simply write a letter that I want to know how much you got from the Ministry of Finance this last year and how you expended it. Just give it to me as a citizen. It's a Nigerian law. And then if you, as a public institution, you don't want to give it, give a reason within 7 days to the applicant why you are not giving it, and it will be deemed that you have denied the information. Then the applicant will move on to another stage by asking the court to compel you, which SERAP has done, to provide that information. And if you fail, it doesn't even end there. In compelling you, it will also punish you as an institution with the fine of 500,000 for failing to provide the information as requested. So it was a critical law in preparing Nigeria in the face of open government partnership, so that there will be transparency. Nevertheless, civil society organizations have been frustrated in many relevant freedom of information requests they have done. Therefore, I will continue to commend SERAP that it has been steadfast and consistent despite all the frustrations and embarrassment. It has remained on course, and it has gotten this judgment. And with this, there is going to be a massive turnaround. Let me ask the question again. Which government, is it that of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that will now say it will not allow SERAP to have this information
and go on appeal?
And go on appeal so that we can continue to cover the information regarding the Abacha loop. Why? Is it a bad thing? If the money has been stolen, ICPC should have known, or should SERAP ask first before ICPC realizes that something fishy has been going on.
Why is the Office of the Auditor General not coming out with an audited account of the $5 billion? I think that's another question.
The question is, the point is that, was it even told that he received $5 billion? You are playing with the level of opacity, secrecy, and darkness concerning government finances. And only the civil society organizations like SERAP have the courage to constantly approach them. It doesn't matter how much repression the former president, the government of former President Buhari did to them, but they constantly withstood. And here we are. We are on the march for progress. And we hope that it is not only when this information are provided, we hope they are going to be provided in the first place, even though I very much doubt, because it will constitute an earthquake. It will be cataclysmic if these information are actually provided. People will go to jail, and if at all the government does have the will, because we see FCC having that gusto in pursuing only Yahoo boys, whereas the more dangerous people, killing people, destroying the future of Nigerians in the federal secretariat, they are left alone. They are there constantly hiding in secret, stealing billions of naira, but nothing happens to them. So we hope that this new sheriff in town will give a proper order, or else we'll just be joking, and the whole world is looking at us. And then the countries of the world, particularly the United Kingdom, who are actually paying lip service in supporting this country against the fight against illicit financial flows and general corruption.
Thank you so very much, Frank Tietie, a rights analyst and a human rights lawyer.